Is doing this old-fashioned? Welcome back to Writer Siri. I'm James Winterthorn, and I just finished the first phase of my editing project for the novel that I've been writing here on YouTube, and I'm now moved on to the next phase. So if you've been following along, you know that the first phase was me inputting the story into ChatGPT and asking it for editing suggestions. Finished that up, and now I'm going on to a step that I still find as vital, but I wonder in today's age of technology whether printing a copy and reading that copy is, or marking that copy up is still something that people do. So I am curious what your thoughts are on whether or not you like to print your manuscript and edit it, like write on it with a pen. And mark it up. But that's where I'm at now. So I have some of my work sessions to share with you, and then I'll discuss kind of what my process looks like here, and what my plans are moving forward. Just how long I expect this step of the process to take. Well, let's get right into some of the work I have to share. The first being the printing session. So I thought this was just a little bit of fun B-roll. So I just put my camera over my printer, time lapse a little bit. I only did the first 50 pages because I don't need to print the whole thing right now. So I've got 50 pages ready to be edited, and I just wanted to document the first printing of the story, and that's what we have there. So nice and easy. The only reason I shared that was like printing. Let me pause the rest of my video here. Printing the manuscript has a special feeling to it. At least for me, it does. And so I wanted to record that as an event and at least share the first print with you here. From here, I'm basically going to take the manuscript. I'm going to go line by line through it, as I've always done. And I think I'm hoping that the AI edit that I've just completed will minimize just how much I find going through this read through. So I'm going to share the beginning of the line edit that I'm doing now. And I've got two segments to share. So let's get right into them. So I, of course, have time lapse to this, but I think it's still slow enough that you can see what I'm doing here. Some of these edits are either suggestions or like I'm striking things. You can see I really don't like the intro, so I'll have to rework that. Some of the marks I use will be like traditional editing marks, but mostly it's just me making a note of where I want changes to happen. I use the red pen, namely because like I know that red is traditionally like the editing color, but it might get a bad rap. Like red is for blood, green is for growth, whatever. The biggest reason I like to use a red pen is because I can see it very clearly. When using like a black or a blue or even a green pen, I might miss some of the things that I write, and I don't want to miss any of those things. I want to make these changes. So I use the red pen so I can identify where those changes are in addition to just making notes. So you can see like a lot of elimination of certain words, making sure punctuation is correct. Anything that's awkward or strange, I usually just write an AWK for awkward. You can see I write weak here and there, or unclear. Those are generally the big things that I will write. And my intent here isn't to correct it. Unless the correction is very simple and very straightforward, I don't put the correction in, and I just put what like that I need to spend more attention on a certain sentence or paragraph or whatever it is. So, because if I don't want to spend, I want to stay in my editing brain and not necessarily in my composition brain. And that is the intent here. So you can see I'm going through and making notes of things that need to be changed. If you followed my progress during the AI edits, it took me a couple of chapters to figure out a good technique to communicate with ChatGPT to get an output that I wanted. And so what I did initially was I would put the whole chapter in there and ask it to provide me with its suggestions. And it did, but it would only, for 10 pages of text, would only suggest maybe 15 or 20 things. And there were way more errors than that. So I knew that it wasn't capturing everything. And so later in that process, I started putting in page by page and getting the greater output of corrections. And it's very evident here. As you can see, the first page, I probably had a dozen things that I needed to adjust that anybody following a Chicago Manual of Style would have caught. So I'm hoping later in the manuscript that I have fewer changes to make. But I'm justified or I feel good about doing this type of edit, seeing just how many changes need to be made, because now I'm capturing them. So let's get back to the rest of the edits. I recorded 2 sessions. It's not all that I've done. Again, I don't want to record everything because I think that would get kind of boring. But I do have one last to share. So let's get into that now. Yeah, I set the camera right up over my desk, and I think this looks pretty good. This looks like it can be pretty well read. And you can see it's just line by line, whether it reads well, whether the punctuation is right, whether there's just things that aren't necessary. I like to be a little verbose while writing. And in the moment, I think that this is great style. And then as I read it, I'm like, okay, it's just a run-on sentence. So there's some changes that I find style-wise that I just need to clean up. And you can see simple things like dialogue tags and punctuation around dialogue, catching things like that, which I was hoping to minimize on this step of the process. And you can see sometimes where I write more or something like that, I'm reading something and I really wanted to get this image across or make this point, and it doesn't really come through when I read it. So I know to go back and correct those later. So not finding a lot on this page, which is either good that the errors aren't there, or when I'm reading them that I'm just not identifying them. Either one is definitely a possibility. This won't be the last read through or edit, so it's okay if I don't get everything, but it's so much better and easier later on if I do actually capture everything that needs to be adjusted. Ideally, the manuscript would get cleaner and cleaner as you work through it, and we don't have to read it 10 or 12 times to get something clean. I think when I first started this project, I was going to be a little more okay with errors and things that weren't necessarily correct for the sake of expedience. As I'm going through the editing now, I know that's just not going to happen, and I'm going to want a clean manuscript. So I'm going to take the effort that I need to now to complete this in a clean and a readable way. So I'm just proud of the product that I put out there instead of just rushing to market with an incomplete manuscript. So that was the first session there. I'm going to carry on with this over the next days and weeks. This process is more time consuming, but it doesn't require the creativity of drafting. so I can dedicate more time to this in terms of being ready to do the work. When writing, I really have to get into a writer's mindset. When editing, I can do this in more states of mind than I can with just drafting, because I'm only about 20 pages in, and that's been about 3 hours worth of work. So just doing some simple math, 20 pages, 7. So approximately 20 hours worth of work remaining. And so if I just did an hour a day, this would take me 3 weeks. I'd like to be done before then, but I'm going to say 2 to 3 weeks before I'm done with this step. So the next couple check-in videos will be me sharing this progress with you, and hopefully I have a little more insight into how this is going and what I can share with you. I'm curious, what are your techniques for editing? Right. So the first step, I used software to help me out. Now I'm doing a printed copy, and the next step will be having a friend read the manuscript and do the same thing, or you could have a paid editor do it at this point, or like after during the next step. But what do you like to do to edit your manuscripts? Please comment below so I can have some insight into what your journey has been. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more content on how this novel is going, or if you'd like information about writing techniques and just fiction writing in general, well, please like and subscribe. Click the bell and you'll be notified when new videos come out. It really does help the channel. So with that, I'm going to get back to editing, and I will see you in the next video.